What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Progress Always, where we're here to build the fittest leaders through integrity, courage, and ownership. And I have the honor, the pleasure of sitting down and chatting with Craig Goldberg, relaxation expert and technologist, on a quest to help humanity achieve a deeper sense of inner calmness through the use of sound and vibration technology. He's a vibroacoustic therapy practitioner and patented inventor, president and co-founder of InHarmony, a leading relaxation furniture manufacturer and provider of wellness solutions specializing in vibroacoustic therapy to support mental, physical, and emotional well-being. Brother, I am so excited to jam with you tonight.
And me too. Thank you for that wonderful introduction, and I'm excited to be here.
Nico connected us through his Vision Espresso experience. He hosted a panel with which you were on at the AI Surfer, and it was like this beautiful confluence of thought leaders in this space. And having had my Vision Espresso experience in combination with your vibroacoustic seat, chair, how do I want to describe that?
That was our meditation cushion. And
meditation cushion. Dude, what an upgrade to what was already a deep experience. So thank you so much for what you're adding to the space and helping others find alignment for themselves. Now, before we get into all of that, how did you find your way into vibroacoustics?
So it's really interesting. This November will be 9 years. And I had a sound lounge experience. I had been traveling the country, speaking, teaching, training, educating, talking about essential oils and their importance from a medicinal and therapeutic standpoint. And each one of these events I was speaking at, I would gravitate towards the sound therapists, the sound healers, the acoustic instruments, bells, chimes, the gong, didgeridoo. And I didn't really understand much about it. I just knew I laid down in front of these incredible practitioners, and I'd wake up 45 minutes later, an hour later, whatever it was, feeling fantastic. Like my soul and my spirit had been wrung out and cleansed. I felt more in balance, more focused, more driven, more energy. And I, as an audiophile, I wanted that experience on tap. I didn't want to sit there and have to play a bowl or have somebody else play a bowl for me. I just wanted to push a button and have an experience. So I went out and bought a recording of gongs being played, which is the most complex instrument as far as frequency. And I was just cranking it through my home stereo system. And turns out I was using the wrong technology. A speaker projects sound and sound waves into the air. Tactile transducers are what's included inside our technology. And after kind of not really failing, but not really getting the same outcome that I was looking for, a few months later, I was introduced to my now business partner, Dominic, who said, "Hey, you got to come down to my office." He was a friend of mine. We'd done business together elsewhere. And he basically said, "Hey, come down. You got to check out this thing that we're working on." And it was my first sound lounge experience. And I absolutely fell in love with, I actually took the headphones off in the middle of my first session, and I kind of smiled. And I was like, "Dom, you did it. This is kind of what I wanted." It was sound therapy on steroids as a more amplified experience. It was exactly what I was looking for. And obviously that was almost 9 years ago. And since then I've dove deep into the science of vibroacoustic therapy, which is the formal body of research that governs what we do. It goes back 45, 50 years. It was originally termed by a gentleman by the name of Olav Skill. And it basically studies specific frequencies and their impact on our physiology. Not very different from somebody who studies tuning forks or gets certified in sound therapy and working with these acoustic instruments. And I just became enamored with the science, the research, and more importantly, the outcomes that it was having. And of course, that was 9.5 years ago. And I went on to get involved with InHarmony. At the time, it was called Holistic Health Science. And I've dedicated my life to teaching people about the power of sound and vibration and its ability to bring us back into balance so that we could spend more time in a parasympathetic, calm and relaxed state versus a stressed and anxious state or a sympathetic nervous system response, which so many of us are spending days on end from the morning we wake up until the moment we go to bed. We're in this sympathetic state. And unfortunately, the body has a different set of priorities when it's in that sympathetic state. And once you start to understand exactly how detrimental prolonged periods in that sympathetic nervous system response are for overall health and wellness, you begin to understand how important it is to do the basic things. And sound and vibration, light, it entrains the brain, the body, and the nervous system into that calm, guides. All entrainment means is to guide the body into that relaxed state. And you start to realize the value of recognizing when you are in that sympathetic state, triggered for whatever reason, whatever stress it is. There's only one response the body has to stress, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, nutritional, financial, relational, it doesn't matter. That sympathetic nervous system response is the response that the body goes into to drift into survival mode. And when you say it, when I use that word, for me, that tells a different story. Survival mode says something different than stress and anxiety. That stressed state, that survival mode, the body has a different set of priorities. It goes out of maintenance task and goes into life-saving tasks. And that set of priorities changes where it turns off maintenance tasks to preserve the body for a prolonged period of time. And in doing so, it turns off parts of your digestion. It turns off parts of your reproductive organs. It turns off parts of your brain function, all in an effort to divert that energy towards saving the vessel and surviving. And sound and vibration, it feels amazing. It's a phenomenal tool to help the body stay in that calm and relaxed state, or go back to that calm and relaxed state. And more importantly, to condition the body to spend more time calm and relaxed. So the same trigger that sent you in a tailspin and instigated or triggered that sympathetic nervous system response, as that same trigger comes around, you spend more time calm and relaxed. And in that state, you can handle it. You don't get spun out, you don't get distracted. And I just became enamored with the space and teaching people, evangelizing for the power of sound and vibration, not just for InHarmony and what we do, but for all of the amazing companies out there that are doing similar things in the space. It's been a lot of fun.
So you start to see, are you familiar with the Kabbalion?
I am.
That text?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, cool. You start to see what... Yeah,
that sounds cute. Absolutely.
These universal principles that when you see them at play in one area, you start to see them at play everywhere, right? And for the audience, what is the correlation between frequency and healing? Because I want to dive into a couple of examples where this principle is at play that we may not necessarily be aware of.
Sure. So, I think those words get thrown around quite a bit as far as healing frequencies, healing tones. For me, the very premise that sound or vibration is going to heal you, to me, doesn't line up, and it doesn't add up. Everything around us is frequency. This entire universe that we know, that we consciously perceive through our five senses, is comprised of sound, light, frequency, electromagnetic energy. And our bodies, in essence, are a big antenna. We're constantly picking up on these different frequencies and coming into and out of harmonic resonance with these frequencies that we're presented with. And there is a math to it. There is a sequence to it. There is a frequency that is more beneficial to the human body versus the frequency of being stressed and anxious and strung out. And I think when you start to look to sound and frequency to heal you, which I don't believe is what happens, that to me is a victim role. It's a victim mentality. It's almost a negative impact of that external stimuli, instead of understanding that when my body is stressed and anxious, I go into that sympathetic state, that survival mode, and the different set of priorities that I was talking about before. That to me says I need to do what I can to stay calm and relaxed more often. And by the way, this beautiful society and culture that we've co-created, to me, it just feels like it's constantly designed to pull me out of that rest and digest state, that calm and relaxed state.
I agree.
And if I take an active role in staying cool, calm, and collected, then the body performs the way that it was so beautifully designed to perform. It's not in that survival mode set of priorities, and instead it's in that maintenance mode. And by the way, that maintenance mode, that's what's perceived as healing. But that's the baseline state that we're designed to be in day and night until an external stimuli comes on for a short period of time where we need to divert energy from those maintenance tasks into survival tasks. And that threat needs to be evaluated and dealt with. But once that threat goes away, we're meant to go back into that calm and relaxed state. And too many of us are spending time in that sympathetic nervous system response from the moment we wake up until the moment we go to bed, day after day, week after week, month after month. And that's where these chronic ailments begin to develop. It's just because we're not giving our body an opportunity to rest and our mind enough mental capacity to look around at the situation and be like, I got this.
Right.
And it obviously further exacerbates itself by being in that state. You're not thinking clearly. You're not evaluating your own resources and your own capabilities. And that, to me, is where stress and anxiety begins to breed itself, in that that anxiety begins to come up when we don't feel as though we can control a positive outcome, when we don't feel as though we're confident enough to handle what we're being thrown at. By contrast, when you're calm and relaxed, there's really nothing that could be thrown your way that you're not like, okay, let's think about this. Here's the avenue of pursuit. Here's what I need to do to react to what's happening around me, or control the environment that's happening around me, which we all have control of. It feels like at times we don't, but the reality is you control you. You are powerful. You are strong. If you're not capable of figuring out the situation around you, find somebody that can help you, or go out and find the education you need to the skill that you need, the talent that you need to develop in order to get that positive outcome that you're looking for, or handle that situation. And that, to me, is where a lot of this angst is built around. Mel Robbins, I think, says it really well and talks about it really well, as far as talking about anxiety and its origins, and how we can take an active role in controlling how we show up in these different environments.
What I'm hearing you say is, by virtue of upregulating the parasympathetic, downregulating the sympathetic through the utilization of frequency, we're actually creating a more resilient vessel.
100%.
Absolutely. And if I draw a lot on this construct from teachings in neurolinguistic programming in terms of our states of being. The floor, the foundation being physical, which sets the tone for, no pun intended, for emotional regulation, which creates mental clarity and allows us to show up as our highest and best spiritual self. And you see this principle that we're talking about at a 30,000 foot level when people set the environment and or the conditions for that parasympathetic state to upregulate, right? And I love the fact that we want to move away from the term healing and redefine our normal, right? That upregulated parasympathetic state is where you're supposed to be. That is not a healed state. That is actually what is supposed to be normal.
It is a rested state.
Yes. And that sympathetic state is just wrought with inflammation and all these other things that we perceive to be negative in our experience. So, for example, what's showing up for me is you're moving through that beautiful definition of what is supposed to be normal. My sponsors at the Air Force Academy, once upon a time, were having just a hell of a time getting pregnant for the second time, to the extent that they went the distance and adopted, because they had just like, this isn't going to happen for us. So they went all the way to Korea adopted their daughter. We're home for 2 weeks. She gets pregnant.
Boom.
Because she took
the stress of the whole process.
Took the stress away, right?
Yeah.
We achieved the desired result. I can now put that to bed, and then all of a sudden, now the system is prepared to do what it's supposed to do, right?
There's all sorts of scenarios that put us into that sympathetic nervous system response. And look, the armed forces, the military, I mean, that is one brick, and I appreciate your service, and I don't say that lightly.
I appreciate you, brother.
The armed forces in general, boot camp, it's all designed to stimulate the nervous system and teach and train you on how to operate in that nervous system response. Because I think, and again, I'm not in that situation often, although I have trained with the military. I don't think there's ever a situation where bullets are flying by you or you're in that ready alert state where your sympathetic nervous system is not engaged by the very nature of it. You need the power and the strength associated with all of the things in that survival mode, that sympathetic nervous system response, to activate the adrenaline, the cortisol, right? Instead, they are conditioning you to operate in that space, unlike any civilian. First responders fall in the same, firemen fall in the same, police officers, EMTs, they all fall into that same category of like even ER nurses and folks that are on the front end. They are cool, calm, and collected in a world and a scenario that no normal human being that's untrained would be not in shock, and they're making decisions and they're thinking, and obviously you're going back to muscle memory and you're going back to your training and all of that has value. But the very nature of being in the armed services and frontline is that you are going to operate cool, calm, and collected where civilians might not. And there's PTSD from that. And there's all sorts of different conditions that obviously form over time, especially when you're in that role for a long period of time. But in the military in particular, you're spending a lot of time in that sympathetic nervous system response. And because of it, the body only has a certain amount of energy per day. The brain uses 20%. It's the largest user of energy that we produce every single day. After that is digestion, right? So like it has to turn off different functionality in the body to focus energy where it's needed to save the vessel. And that's where that priority list comes in. And when you start to think about different scenarios, especially if you're trying to have kids, chronic ailments, chronic issues, it's about showing the body how to be calm and relaxed and move from sympathetic to parasympathetic when the time is right. And how to spend more time in that rested state or that parasympathetic nervous system response. And I think you said it very eloquently as to how we condition to upregulate that state more often, given all of the stressors that are just in everyday life for an everyday civilian, or even we work a lot of folks that retire from the military, retire from these frontline positions, or move from frontline to a desk job or someplace where they're not, and help them to recondition their nervous system to operate more normally, right? As a civilian would, or in the civilian world. And a lot of folks that are retired from the military, they seek that adrenaline, they seek that cortisol, they seek those because it just becomes the norm. I talk to people all the time when I put myself out there as a relaxation expert. All it means is that I understand what it takes to use sound and vibration to get into that relaxed state. And I talk to too many people, especially in my everyday life. One of my phlebotomists who I get my IV from, for example, you know, she's like, "Oh, I live in a stressed and anxiety state. That's just my happy place." And
is it like, though?
Going back to your NLP, right? And how powerful words are. I'm like, can you change that narrative for me? You might operate well in that world, but let's teach the body how to be more relaxed. And of course, now she has a sound lounge and she uses it regularly. And now she understands that the baseline needs to be rest and digest, parasympathetic. And then the response to stress. Look, stress is not a bad thing.
Right.
I don't want to get rid of all of your stress. You're familiar with the term hormesis. Stress makes us stronger. Stress gives us the strength to learn, to grow, and to become more powerful. Periods of stress are good, but we don't want that to be the baseline and that to be the norm. We want to down-regulate that, like you said, and up-regulate parasympathetic and that rest and digest, so that the body can perform the way it's so naturally designed to perform without conflict and without hesitation.
Right. Now, do you see similar patterns in people that are battling addiction?
Absolutely. Yeah, we work with a number of recovery centers,
Mhm.
and vibroacoustic therapy is part of their inpatient and outpatient process.
Sure.
Uh,
What
Look,
what are what are you seeing with regards to, because we can dive down the rabbit hole of psychedelic therapy and how that is coming online with regards to mitigating PTSD and the subsequent cascade of substance abuse and whatnot. Uh, as I sat in the uh, Vision Espresso container in the panel that you sat on, I saw a lot of parallels between uh, my experience and this is just my own lived experience. So this is 100% anecdotal here. Uh, in the benefits that I experienced through plant medicine protocols, specifically psilocybin and bufo, uh, and some of the benefits and um, observations that you had expressed as a result of vibroacoustic therapy.
yeah, I mean, there's a lot. Look, altered states of consciousness is what psychedelic therapy is all about,
Mm-hmm.
and there are good practices and protocols and bad practices and protocols. Set and setting is something we talk a lot about in the
Oh, yeah.
psychedelic therapy world. Um, these are just external stimuli. Look, sound and vibration is just an external stimuli.
Mm-hmm.
It's all within us. Everything is within us. All of our power, all of our strength, all of our capabilities. It all comes from the inside. However, we perceive the world around us, and we started talking about this today. I Surfer. It's kind of comical when I brought it, when the question came up, and I was like, how deep do we want to go on this topic? And the whole crowd was like, let's go deep. And I was like, all right, cool, let's go deep.
Yep.
We perceive the world around us through our five senses. And the brain and the nervous system use these five senses to perceive danger and to perceive threats. Your ego, your conscious being, is constantly looking for threats to your being. And as it evaluates these threats, it turns on and off that sympathetic nervous system response. Psychedelic therapy, even specifically the substances that you talk about, psilocybin and bufo, 5-MeO DMT, DMT lives within us. It's the light you see before you pass. It's what instigates and brings you into a dream state as you sleep every single night. Bufo, whether it's synthetic or it's from the desert toad, this is simply an exogenous, an external dose of this particular medicine and this particular chemical, and obviously that takes us into that state on contact. Psilocybin, it simply helps to reprogram the brain. We know very specifically what's happening in the brain under psilocybin, and you are expanding neuroplasticity. You are identifying new neural pathways, opening new neural pathways, establishing new neural connections. There's a lot that happens in the brain that helps you to begin to see the world differently and change. You change the way you look at the world around you changes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really just through the looking glass, quite literally and figuratively, through the eyes. Look, my wife and I are together 17 years.
Congrats.
Thank you. We can walk into a room and just stand at the doorway of an entire scene, look around for a few minutes, walk out and talk about what we just saw and see completely different rooms.
Yes.
Like what she saw happen, I didn't even really, that's what you took from that? Whether it's energetic or physical, literally, like my eyes will hone to something different in the room than her eyes will.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course that perception reflects and shapes how we think emotionally about that experience and what we just saw and what just happened. So what these psychedelics do is they are a crutch, in my opinion, a very powerful one and a very important one. No different than sound and vibration. If you have the wherewithal to sit down, close your eyes, go within, take a few deep breaths, breath controls the mind, mind controls the body. You can very much control how you're responding to the world around you. And sometimes it just takes closing your eyes, covering your ears, allowing yourself to go within, and you will go back to baseline. Sound and vibration helps you to do that, just like some of these other substances help you to do that as well. And it's not just psychedelic substances; it's also pharmacological products. They change the chemical balance. They change what's happening in your body. And I'm not a fan of pharmaceuticals on prolonged periods, but in the short term, certain pharmacological products I think are very powerful, very important, and a big part of how. I'm not one of these guys that says, down with the medical community.
Yeah.
No, to treat acute conditions, I think it's very important. Short term, I think it's very important, but it's not an application for chronic ailments and issues.
Right.
Where psychedelics, one session can be very powerful. I love what's happening in the ketamine world right now. Well, even sound and vibration, one session can completely. I've run demos for people where they'll do one session, 2 minutes and 22 seconds. They'll come off it and they'll tell me that I just changed their life. And I'll follow up with them, or they'll seek me out and follow up with me and say, "Hey, Craig, I just want to let you know that 2-minute session that I did 3 months ago has completely changed my world, and I'm grateful for what you've done for me." It's not even using our technology on a regular basis. It's not even using Vision Espresso, which I definitely want to dive in and talk to.
Yeah, sure. I love the example you gave about you and your wife and the way we observe the world around us, because in the work that we do at Next Level, it's predicated on the research of Dr. Roger Berkman. Are you familiar with him?
No, I know the name, but I'm not familiar.
Okay. So quick backstory, World War II bomber pilot. And after every mission, every person on a crew has to submit an after action report. Your experience, your observations, etc., of the goings on of said mission. And he started to notice this pattern, this reoccurring pattern in which we're all on the same bird, flying the same mission, dropping the same bombs, and yet our recalled experience of that mission, they're 20 totally different stories.
Right.
And he's like, how is that possible? So when he returns from the war, he enrolls in the University of Texas and dedicates all of his education to exploring this phenomenon that became the Berkman method.
Wow.
And where we start all of our clients in turn, it's so profound to me that the parallels between what you're doing and what we're doing, in that creating this level of awareness as to how we experience the world and how the world experiences us. So like for me, one of the biggest ahas through this experience was that everything that I get celebrated for, everything that I've been celebrated for, is very extrovert in nature. Decision making, action taking, highly sociable, etc. And everything that I need to show up as that and continue to be celebrated in that fashion is very introvert in nature. And an older, outdated version of Michael is walking around, experiencing the world at odds with himself, because I know heart and gut that I need time alone, not to be confused with being lonely, time alone for introspection, reflection, to come back into alignment.
We all.
Right. And yet that is in direct conflict with my ego's pursuit of that celebration. No, you got to be on the scene. No, you got to be in the room. No, you got to be on the floor. And when I came to realize that, oh, no, this is what Michael needs to be that. I like that guy. There's nothing wrong with that guy. However, we need to curate our environment and our circle of influence to facilitate that higher, better version of Michael. And that is the long way around to coming back to that parasympathetic state, that down regulation of the sympathetic, so that you reduce the friction that the world imposes upon you, and you're able to manage the friction that does come through more productively.
I think you said that beautifully and eloquently. Look, we all need that time. Before we went live, we were talking about my travel schedule, and I travel a lot for work, as often as I can, without being away from my family more than I'd like to, and obviously being in the right place. And I'm grateful for our network and our 700 and 800 affiliates around the world, and I'm being represented in local communities all the time, and I lean heavily into that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I travel. Look, even that Vision Espresso weekend, I left Friday morning. Yeah. I drove down with 7 cushions, 2 sound lounges. It was a lot for me to manage and man by myself. Anthony, who makes all of our music, flew in from Austin. He helped out. Obviously, Nico helped out. We set up 2 events, one Friday night, another one Saturday. Saturday during the day, I was back-to-back meetings with my team that was in town. Paul, of course, also helps me with my AI. And then Sunday, I'm the first one to get to the event so that I could set everything up. I'm the last one to leave because I got to break down. And obviously, there's a lot of interest around our technology, and I want everybody to get a ride and drop in. And then people want to talk with me, and I'm grateful for it. And that's why I'm there. So I'm very much focused on those events. To bed late, early up. When I travel, I'm fitting in talking with my teams. I have teams in multiple continents, multiple time zones. I have affiliates all around the world. I'm feeding into their conversations. I'm answering our phone as it rings because that's still my first and best role that I perform. Sunday morning, woke up, dropped in with Anthony for a little while, talked about music and the media side of what we're doing. Nico reached out. We went and met, dropped in with him for a couple hours. Then I was driving back to Vegas. It was nonstop.
Yeah,
I was 48 hours and it was nonstop, right? Maybe a little longer, 55, 60 hours, whatever. Nonstop. That's what my travel typically looks like. And yet I sit before you my first day back after 2 weeks at Burning Man. I left Friday the 22nd. I got back Friday, September 6th, this past Friday. And while I had Starlink and I could check in on things, I predominantly took time for myself. Yeah. It's my one annual alignment and focus point so that I can. And I spend a lot of time, not a lot, but I spend a disproportionate more time by myself out there than I do any other time. And by design. I'm not talking about InHarmony. Burning Man is decommodified, and there's a whole bunch of things going on there around brands not being welcome. And I'm not out there it's not a business trip for me, although it is a personal trip that my business sends me on so that I can find that spiritual alignment, that groundedness, that rest and rejuvenation that I require. I bring a sound lounge with me. Sound and frequency is a big part of my RV and how we're set up. And one of my gifts that I give while I'm out there is to share these experiences. But it's about finding that time to be with myself so that I can be rejuvenated and I can put together my travel schedule for the latter part. I'm traveling the last week and a half of September, 3 different events in 3 different cities. And they're going to be nonstop, stacked, just like my trip to Phoenix with Vision Espresso. I want to see as many people as I can. If I'm away from my family, I want to maximize every moment from the moment I wake up until the moment I go to bed. And I'll sleep and rest when I get back or on the plane or while I travel. And while I'm there, it's go time. And as long as people are available to meet, I'm making time. And the time that they aren't available to meet or there isn't anything happening, I'm on the phone with other time zones and my teams that are building my app and my products and that sort of thing. It is a relentless schedule that entrepreneurs keep that not many understand except other entrepreneurs. Yeah. And yet finding that time, for me, going and sitting on a beach is not a vacation. It's not relaxing to me. Being someplace that's remote where people can't get in touch with me and I can't get in touch with people unless I turn my Starlink on. That to me is where I find my rejuvenation, my alignment, being in nature, grounding, getting away from the city beat and congestion, lots of people. That to me is where I find my relaxation and my reset point.
Oh, dude, you're 100% my people, man. I tell folks all the time, there's a couple of buddies that I deployed with, and every couple of years we take an adventure trip. We did the Salcantay trek through Peru on the way to Machu Picchu. We just did Kilimanjaro. We got Antarctica set up for 26. And it's, I'm at the most peace when I tell people I set myself up for free fall. Right. There's a moment when you leave a plane skydiving, you have that oh shit pucker moment for about 5 seconds. And then at least in my experience,
comes again when it's time for that chute to open, by the way.
Yeah. Just like, please do what you're supposed to do. Right.
No, I got 2. I don't want to try the second one.
Right. But you very quickly reconcile for yourself. Like there's at this moment, until that chute opens, I control absolutely nothing. Yeah. And there is something very freeing about that experience. And I feel I get that same feeling when I leave the state. When I had a brick and mortar training facility here in Scottsdale, and I would leave on vacation with the family, we'd go up skiing or whatever, be on a business trip. There's nothing that could happen at HQ that I could directly impact. I couldn't save it. I couldn't fix it. No, nothing. And that knowing was so healing for me in terms of, well, fuck it. There's something to be said about the direct correlation between fuck it and your parasympathetic state.
Yeah. Well, look, so here's what's interesting. So this was my 10th burn. My first was in 2012. I went every year until 2019, and then 2020 took 4 years off as my daughter was born, and then I went back last year and this year, and we got hammered with weather. The weather's been getting more intense out there, no doubt. 65-mile-an-hour winds, and after this one particular storm, and my wife wasn't there yet. She flew in on Tuesday. My daughter wasn't there. She stayed home. We haven't brought her out there yet, although we intend to. I had this moment of reflection where I'm like, well, why am I here? Like, why do I put myself through this? Like, I don't have to. I could go on a beach vacation. I could go to Lake Tahoe. I could go skiing. I can go to the mountains. Like, there are so many places within a similar drive that I could take my RV. Why do I take it to Bermuda? And I sat on that all week. And of course, the weather cleared out, and I had this beautiful and perfect and amazing experience. And I didn't get devastated, although people out there definitely did. I landed on Burning Man is the ultimate adventure for me. And it is just that. It is a test to myself if I can do it. It is a testament to my own fortitude and strength that I'm capable of it, that it is the unknown, that I charge into the unknown happily, forcefully, knowing that I am as prepared as I could be, and yet I will be caught off guard, and we were caught off guard, and I am prepared. And we do know Burning Man well, and we do understand that environment well, and we are more prepared than most out there. And yet I still got caught with my pants down. I still made stupid moves. Like, I was making rookie mistakes. And in hindsight, I was like, what the was I like? Why would I do that at that time frame? Right. And it is just that. It is the adventure aspect of going out there. And when you're in that adventure state, there's nothing else that matters except surviving. So I wasn't answering emails, even though I had Starlink. I wasn't, right? There was a point, there was 3 days in a row where I just wasn't on my phone. I couldn't be, because I was tending to incoming weather or taking a look at surviving something that was inbound or setting something. I set up and broke down my camp the first 4 or 5 days that I was out there, probably 4 times. It was a joke. Oh, the weather's clear. This is going to be great. And then 2 hours later, a weather alert comes in and lightning is striking 2,000 feet away. And I'm like, here we go again.
Right.
Break down camp, move the bikes under shelter. Let's get this going. And we'll just hunker down for another 3 hours until this passes. And then the weather broke and it was gorgeous. But the question was like, why am I here? And the answer was, it's the ultimate adventure, and it's the ultimate testament to survivability. It's the most adverse weather conditions I know. Antarctica is another great example, by the way, which I've never been to and would love to go down to. It's a different type of preparation. And of course, when you're flying there versus driving, I live in Vegas, so it's an 8-10 hour drive for me, and I can bring all of the resources that I have here that I need. There are burners that come from all over the world, that arrive on planes, that drive across the country, that ship things out early. So obviously there's a lot of different ways to do it. But the question that I was answering was really like, why am I here? And I landed on that adventure, and the distraction of surviving turns everything else off. And on the other side of it, those problems, those issues, those challenges, those opportunities, they're all just sitting there. And I'm a stronger version of myself having gone through it. I'm a more powerful version of myself, and therefore a compass and a guide to others who feel that energy of accomplishment and success. And don't get me wrong, I'm not unscathed. There are a bunch of things as I look at my RV that need to be repaired, running, screws popped, cabinets that were down. Like, this RV was shaky back and forth.
Do you feel like that those experience, that concentrated dose of sympathetic stimulus, if you will, creates the resilience that allows a more stabilized parasympathetic state
100%
until your next burn?
Yeah, of course. And who knows, right? Next burn could be the easiest weather ever. Like, we've had burns where weather hits. I mean, look, we timed our exit perfectly. And that's just the universe nodding to me, like, you're always in the right place at the right time. And we were going to stay until Wednesday. Man burn is Saturday night. Temple burn is Sunday night. A very solemn time and an important process. And Exodus, leaving, happened to be really light this year. Not a lot of people were out there. And we follow gate times. We get reports on Twitter and through the radio as to how long it takes from the time you leave your camp until the time you hit the road. It was down to like 3 hours. That's nothing, right? It could be as long as 12 hours, 16 hours to get out if you leave on Monday. Now, if you leave on Wednesday, it's 30 minutes from camp to gravel.
Oh, wow.
So why not just stay a couple more days, right? So that was the original plan. The original plan was stay till Wednesday, leave about noon, get home Thursday night. And instead, a buddy of ours in our camp said, hey, I got a place in Lake Tahoe. I'd love to host you. I got a boat. Let's go out on the lake. We looked at this window. We took it. There was no weather in the forecast. It was clear skies, light winds. It was perfect. We packed up camp on Monday. We got to Tahoe. It was raining when we got to Tahoe, which is only, I don't know. It's only 100 miles away. So the weather patterns are very similar. My friends that were still on Playa Tuesday night experienced a harsher storm than the first one we did a week earlier.
Oh, boy.
They got hammered, 65, 70, 80 mile an hour gusts, decimated all over again. And I was never so grateful to obviously not be there. And obviously we were helping and ready to spring in action. It's easy to get back on Playa afterwards if people needed our help. And we were in touch with people to see if they did need our help, but they didn't. No more weather for us. Universe got us out in just the right time, at just the right pocket. And it wasn't easy, and we were up for a long time, but piece of cake.
Love it. Love it. There's this concept that I'm a fervent believer of that I feel like you just beautifully described, and that's intentional adversity. You have to have that experience of challenging oneself to draw upon in those moments when of distress, that recall of, if I can overcome that in the past, then I've by virtue of that experience created the resilience to see this experience all the way through to its conclusion. And I don't feel like that is a normal thought process. At least consciously.
Yes and no.
Okay.
I think, look, we're all built differently. And we all have a different idea of what's fun. I've got a buddy who's done 6 or 8 triathlons. He swam from Alcatraz to San Francisco.
Oh, he's one of those guys. Yeah.
I'm friends with people that have swam across the Atlantic Ocean, adventurers that are part of the Explorers Club that have sailed and circumnavigated the world by themselves on a boat. I'm not built for that. That doesn't sound like fun to me, right? Burning Man, no problem. Right? I'd like to do the John Muir Trail. I like going camping.
Mm-hmm.
I like rock climbing, but not really outdoors anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I've climbed a couple outdoor experiences, put my life in my hands.
Mm-hmm.
Not really interested in that anymore. I
Yep.
don't think I'm ready to jump out of a plane, even though my buddy Ben is like, "Hey, for your birthday, we're going tandem, and I got other friends that jump, and they've been jumping for a long time, and they absolutely love it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, I don't know if I'm. That's again, we're all bred differently. To your
Sure.
point, why does somebody want to do a triathlon? I used to run a lot, and I like to run, and I enjoy it, and I get the runner's high and all of that. I
Mm-hmm.
have no interest in running a marathon. I ran the Ragnar relay race, which was a 200
Yeah.
mile relay race. Just absolutely insane, in my opinion. I finished it the first year and I'm like, that was great.
Yeah.
I'm not
Check the
doing
box.
it. And then it came around next year and they were like, hey man, we need one more slot. You can run the same sections that you had last time. And would you do it? And I was like, you know what? No problem. The day before the race, they changed the course. And my longest run went from 5.5 miles to 8. I'd never run 8 miles in my life. And I was like, fuck it. And I did it fine, right? I crushed
Mm-hmm.
it and it was awesome. So to your point of this controlled approach to a challenge, and look, if you're going to run the New York Marathon, hopefully you're training for weeks and months leading
Mm-hmm.
up to that. I certainly did for the Ragnar, and he certainly did for the triathlon and for this swim. But I think that sense of adventure and accomplishment that comes from the Spartan races.
Mm-hmm.
Look, you got guys, and gals, and I'm sure you know them, that went through buds
Mm-hmm.
so that they could become a Navy SEAL because it's one of the most challenging
Mm-hmm.
trainings, right? The Delta Force guys,
Yeah.
a lot of those guys are there not because they want to kill.
Mm-hmm.
Many of them are there because they want to defend our country as a
Yep.
patriot and to serve, which I think is beautiful and wonderful. A lot of them are there just to see if they could do it.
100%.
Right?
Absolutely.
And
Yep.
proud of the fact that they could do it. And frankly, are disappointed if they have to ring out.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I
Mm-hmm.
get chills when I even start thinking about it. But like, we're all built differently.
Mm-hmm.
And there are people that look at what I do and they're like, you're batshit crazy. And there's people that I see what they do and I'm like, I don't know how. I don't know how. Right? I got a girlfriend who I think she has 7 or 8 Guinness Book of World Records for the most random things.
Yeah.
And she studies it. She wants to learn a skill and a talent. She wants to develop it. And then she wants to reach out to Guinness and she wants to break the record. And she just
Mm-hmm.
polishes them one after another. And she collects those experiences.
Yeah.
And then there's other people that they're like, no, you know what? I got my 9 to 5.
Mm-hmm.
I got my Toyota Corolla. I got my, my little routine, get my Starbucks coffee in the morning, and then I go to work and I focus on whatever I got to do. I check the boxes and then I go home and I watch a little TV. I go to the gym, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's people that go to the gym and they're like, the gym is good for me. And there's other people that go to CrossFit and they're like, I need CrossFit.
Mm-hmm.
We're all built differently. And that's the beauty of what that looks like. Now, I happen to agree with you. The challenge, I think, is very important.
Mm-hmm.
Look, there are people that look at my pace over the course of the day. Here we are, 6:22. I've been going hard since 8 a.m. nonstop.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I love it. I feed off it. I love it. After this, my family's outside. They're having dinner.
Yep.
I'm going to drop in, hang out with my daughter for a half hour, put her to bed, and then I'm going to hang out with my wife for a couple hours, my parents, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go to bed exhausted.
Yeah.
Wake up tomorrow. I'm going to do it all over again.
Dude, that's the game. I love you touched on, and I don't know if this is intentional in your lexicon, but collecting experiences. That to me, that is the essence of our existence. Is all we are doing from the minute we're born to the minute the second the lights go out, forever, is collecting experiences.
I mean, that's all this Earth Walk really is.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And look, I think it's easy to get stuck in the myriad of the day to day and this collective society that we've created. I just watched my dad go out and get the mail. I hate getting the mail. It's my least favorite thing to do. It's got to get done. It's part of the society. Things show up in that mailbox that got to be taken care of. I get it. I can't stand getting email. It's just a boring, mundane, repetitive task. I'm lucky enough to have 5 vehicles. I can't stand going to the DMV. I don't know anybody who likes going to the DMV, but like that whole process, it's no fun. I own multiple businesses. The administrative side of the business, no fun for me.
Right.
Managing bank accounts, dealing with the P&L, the balance sheet, investments, distributions, not fun for me. It's part of life, and you got to do it. And it's an experience in learning how to do that and traverse how to do it, or you're hiring people to do it. And that's good too. But to your point, it's the experiences that we get to create. So I'm lucky enough to have 2 RVs, and it's not easy to go RVing. It's not an easy way to live. I live full time in an RV with my wife for 26 months. We traveled the country. And there's a lot of beautiful parts of this country. And I feel very blessed to be able to do it at the time and the age that in the time period where I was before I had my daughter. It's not an easy way of life.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's wonderful. And at the end of the day, even this was a conversation we were just having at the burn. Do I sell my motorhomes? Do I upgrade? Do I get something different? Do I get a different layout, a camper versus a 5th wheel versus a motor coach, right? And at the end of the day, why do I do it? I do it to create experiences for my family. I do it to log the memories, take the pictures, and put myself in a safe environment out in the middle of nowhere. and to have running water and a shower and electricity, right? And to have those survival skills. And we're not roughing it by any way, shape, or form. I like tent camping. I like putting I like hiking out from my car 4 hours and setting up camp, and I can do that too. And I like the survivability of it's funny. We mentioned the backup shoot, right? Dude, I got backups. So many different things. In my RV, when I go out into the wilderness, there's 8 different ways that I can make fire. Right? There's a bunch of different food that if my fridge goes off and all my food spoils, I got canned goods, I could stay out there, right? Like backup with backup. And what's funny is that I got into this routine where I wasn't using the backups. And you begin to wonder, like, do I need to bring the backups? Right? I don't use it. Like, what do I need it for? I don't need that. Well, this burn, we were using the backups. And I even said to Dom, my InHarmony business partner, like, he's like, nah, it's all good. I got a backup for that. And the backup headlamp came out, right? And then after the backup headlamp came out, he realized that his water got tainted, right? So he had one of those straws, and he could drink the tainted water. He's like, no problem. I got a straw for that. Like, you don't need a straw. There's no lake water out there. He was like, no, it's all good. I got a backup for that. Right. And it became this almost comedy of errors, reaching into the backups. And I even said to my buddy, Paul, I had one of my 2 generators needed an oil change. My buddy, Paul, came out. He's like, hey, I got this extra generator if you want it. And I was like, yeah, we could do that. But then I also want to do this oil change. So like in the short term, I used the generator and then I would switch the oil change. My buddy, we call him Costco because he has everything. He had a 13 kilowatt generator in the back of his truck, still in the box. He was like, I just brought it. It could run 3-4 RVs, right? And he got it just because, right? Never used it, never opened it, but it became this comedy of errors where we were using all of our backups. And I was like, yeah, that's why we bring backups. And that by itself was an experience for us to see and realize, and a reminder, that's why we have the backups, right? And that if you don't use them, then you start second guessing bringing them. And of course, that's all part of that human experience of being prepared in the wilderness. And of course, in the military, there's a backup for a backup, and 3 is 2, right? Like,
it's all built on redundancy, baby.
2 is 1. Yeah, there's a lot of interesting aspects, but it's all built around creating experiences and memories, and holding on to them and remembering that, yes, I can. And that, yes, I'm capable of. I mean, look, even my daughter, I got a 5-year-old. I want to do everything for her. And you can't. I don't think that's a good parent.
How you just had the one?
I just have the one. I'm one and done. I'm good.
Good to go, man.
It's impressive.
My son's 9, my daughter's 7.
Bless your beautiful heart.
Being a girl dad is really interesting, because we are raising them to the best of our ability with the same value set, the same standards, and yet they are, never mind just the divine masculine and the divine feminine that they present in their own unique ways. They're just two totally different humans.
Yeah.
And
they come from the same DNA.
It's wild.
Right? So you look at your son, you look at your daughter, and you're like, how are you guys even related? I don't understand.
Oh yeah.
They're all 50 for you and your wife.
But they I heard this beautiful quote. You're not preparing you're preparing your child for the road. You're not preparing the road for your child.
Yeah. Well said.
And I don't know who said it. I need to figure that out. But it's so true. And I find that to be the most challenging part of my existence as a parent, is discerning what is the mistake I need to allow you to learn from, and what is something that is potentially permanent that I need to help you steer clear of. And dude, the mental and emotional gymnastics around that, if every once in a while, that shit keeps me up at night. And they're only 9 and 7. They haven't even hit the shit show.
Not even out of the house.
Yeah.
More often.
I can't. I mean, that's how I am now. I can't wait for fucking adolescence. You know what I mean?
I'll tell you. So my daughter, I didn't want her going to public school. I still don't. We got her involved in Montessori when she was 3.
Yep.
And what a blessing. That first day dropping her off, she had a hard time, right? Obviously, she'd never been with anybody other than in-laws, grandparents, me, somebody that we trust.
Yeah.
And we've had our fair share of moments away from her. But at the time, I didn't realize how freeing it would be for me to release her into somebody else's care, and the impact that it had on my emotional body. Since my daughter can talk, anytime I put her to bed, the last things that we say before we go to bed is I say, repeat after me. And she goes, okay, Dad, I am strong. I am strong. I am powerful. I am loved. I am safe. Every day in every way, I'm getting better and better and better. Every day in every way, I'm getting stronger and stronger and stronger. Now, she's 5. She's just starting to understand what it means. Because even a year ago, I was like, do you understand what that means? She's like, no, Daddy, I don't know what it means. But it's ingrained in her head 365 nights a year. Maybe not, because I don't know that my wife does the same thing. But like, at some point, she's going to recognize that.
Yep.
My wife's Labor Day, when she gave birth, was one of the most challenging days of my life. And you can sympathize with just how stressful it is being Adam. You want to talk about not being in control of a scenario and a situation.
Yeah.
And all I could do is be the emotional rock. And as we went to the emergency room for an emergency C-section, I remember very specifically with my wife in a wheelchair, getting checked into the ER, looking at my wife in excruciating pain. Contractions are close. She's 8 centimeters when we left, 9.5 centimeters by the time we got there. And just watching her in excruciating pain, and me just looking at her saying, repeat after me, I am strong, I am powerful. Whew. I am strong, I am powerful. And her repeating it back to me with conviction, with understanding and knowledge, because she knows what it means and she knows how powerful the words are, to go back to the NLP.
Yeah.
And just being that rock of, look, you got this. You have to do this on your own. I cannot help you. Obviously, the doctors were there to help. And she looked at me 9.5 centimeters dilated. And she looked at me and she said, Craig, I'm sorry, I'm weak. And she looked at the doctors and she went, I'm ready for an epidural. Can I get an epidural? And the nurse, will never forget, she looked back and she's like, honey, you're 9.5 centimeters dilated. Like, you're going to push one more time and this baby's coming out.
Yeah, we're there.
Like, you made it. You did it. Not 10 minutes later, our daughter was in our arms.
Oh.
And everybody was safe. And frankly, I just couldn't go through that again.
Sure.
You want to talk about
Mm-hmm.
knowing what you're capable of? I didn't want. Now look, if my wife was gung ho on number 2, I'm all in.
Right, of course.
But she wasn't, and
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna be like, no, that was fun. Let's do that again. You know, like,
yeah, man. It adds a flavor to this existence that no other experience can replicate, you know.
and I had no idea.
Mm,
And I had no idea.
yeah.
My daughter now. It's dinner time. Okay.
She made it.
My recording. I love you.
Well, hey man, that seals it for me, brother. I'm grateful for you. I appreciate you. What's your daughter's name?
Harmony.
Harmony. Oh, beautiful.
Not named after the business, and the business
No.
is not named after her, interestingly enough.
That is serendipity, my friend. Thank you, Harmony, for the reminder of what truly matters. Craig, I'm grateful for you, brother. Let's wrap this up. Where can the audience go find you, support you, learn from you, and experience you?
I appreciate that. So my website is I Am InHarmony. 2 most powerful words in the English language. I am, because anything you put after it, you are. So why not be in harmony with the world around you? At the bottom of our website, you'll find all the links to all of our socials. I'm one of the easiest people to find on the internet. My phone, literally this phone number is at the top of my website, and I welcome people to call me day or night, weekday, weekend. If I'm available, I'll answer. So far, I'm the human on the other side of the comments and the DMs, although Digital Craig, my AI agent, is fast starting to pick up on that first rung of replies and follow up, but we monitor it closely. And I'm one of the easiest people to get in touch with, and I'm grateful for our time together. Once you go to my website, leave it to Facebook and Instagram and Google retargeting. You probably won't get enough of me. And I'm grateful for the education that we're able to put out there as well. And I'm just grateful for this existence, this ride, the knowledge that I've been presented with and have studied, and my ability to be able to share that with folks. And I'm grateful for this opportunity to record, to drop in, share life experience, and hopefully provide value to the folks that are listening. And I'm grateful to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. Mission accomplished, brother. Mission accomplished.
Indeed.
For everybody out there, remember, leadership starts with self, and it comes from integrity, courage, and ownership. Head over to coachdurs.com to pick up that alignment assessment. And if you need that tribe, that support with not only the 1 hour that you're in the gym, but also the other 23 hours of your day, come join us in the Alignment Village, and we'll get you taken care of. Until next time, progress always.